Alright, it's the Christmas season. Snow isn't falling in Los Angeles, but it gets down to 50 degrees at night, which means that something is different.
Santa's coming to town, baby. Santa's coming to town.
Christmas movies have been made for all time, since like the Middle Ages or something, since antiquity. But there are some classics that have burrowed their way into the cultural zeitgeist. You got the Santa Claus, Christmas Vacation, The Nightmare Before Christmas, kind of. I love Christmas movies, I do. Almost to the point where it's poisoned my mind. One time in 2018, when I was applying to internships in film school, I was on the phone interviewing for a very notable horror movie production company. And at the end of the interview, they asked me what my favorite movie was. And I blacked out and I said Elf. The Will Ferrell Christmas comedy. Needless to say, I did not get the internship. That's like interviewing at Lockheed Martin and saying that your dream is world peace. You're just not right for the job. And so I wanted to do another terrible low-budget Christmas movie review this year, and I honestly didn't think that I would find anything. That is, until I found this gem of gems. It's a movie from 1998, and it is called The Boy Who Saved Christmas. And looking at the cover art, it seems like your average run-of-the-mill innocent family movie from the 90s. But I assure you, it is nothing like that. Also, I love the tagline, no job too big, no job too small. To this movie, all jobs are medium. This movie introduces new Christmas lore that had to have been thought up by some enlightened LSD hippie or a college stoner. And to give you a hint, here's the synopsis. Santa's evil twin kidnaps him with the plan to reverse Christmas forever. But he hadn't reckoned on a brave little boy and his friends who set out on an adventure to rescue Santa and restore Christmas to its rightful place. I'm sure that you have a lot of questions based on that. Rightfully so, as did I. Reverse Christmas forever, reverse Santa. What does that even mean? So without further ado, let's jump right into The Boy Who Saved Christmas. Immediately as the movie starts, I am blown away by the title card. It looks like a rough draft that they took all the way to the finish line. Did they hire the boy on the cover to make this in 1998 MS Paint? And I know it's the 90s, so the digital world isn't as fleshed out, but oval ornaments? Come on. Don't start changing the shapes of the ornaments, all right? We're a bit far away from allowing creative choices like this. Just make a good Christmas tree. And as the names of the people involved in the production started showing up, I realized that they were also just slapping what looked like random Christmas-themed clip art on the screen. Andre Bork, give him a snowman. Dana Woods, toss some elf shoes in there. Colin McLean, give him a moon-shaped Santa. Amy Stromer, yeah, we're running out of clip art. Give her a moon-shaped Santa again. Anyways, let's start the movie. So we open the movie by introducing us to Jeremy, the main character of this movie. He's writing an email to Santa's official email address, I guess, and he's talking about how all he wants for Christmas is for his parents to get along.
What I want for Christmas is for Mom and Dad to get along. Your number one email pal, Jeremy.
Wait, hold on. Who the hell is this? That's a different kid. This boy is not the boy on the cover of this movie. That's a fully different boy. Different hair, maybe 3 to 4 years different in age. Did they just forget to get a photo of the main actor and then just like grab a kid off the street? Also, nothing against blue eyes in general, but this kid has striking blue eyes. You know, he kind of looks like that photo of Miley Cyrus. It's like I'm getting flashbang. Oh, hey, Jeremy, what's... Ow! Ah! Put those away, man. All my homies hate the blue eyes. That sounds bad, saying it out loud. Hazel for the win. So basically, Jeremy sends this letter of unrealistic expectations to Santa in the most 90s way possible. That animation has to be using all 200 megabytes of memory that this computer has. I honestly am probably overshooting how much memory this computer has. Next, we show up to the North Pole, and Santa is being shown his new cyber room for the first time by an elf named Pointer.
Certainly is. New and modern.
Look, email!
You know it's 1998 when a big part of a plot point in a movie is it's like, we've got email now. Come on. Just wait until he finds out that now you can have a robot write your entire college capstone and all it costs is just like one full ecosystem, you know? Just like an entire rainforest. That's all it costs. So Santa and Pointer have a conversation about how Santa is confused about this whole new email situation. And then Santa kind of jokingly threatens Pointer's job.
If you weren't confused, I wouldn't have a job.
If I stay confused, you won't have a job. Oh, a little bit of humor. What kind of Santa would I be firing an elf 3 days before Christmas?
So does that mean in other circumstances you've been firing elves, Santa? And it doesn't seem like Pointer likes it, but then Santa doubles down on the joke.
I'll can you in January.
Like, looking at Pointer right now, he's terrified of Santa. I feel like I need to pull Pointer into another room and ask him if, like, this is, like, a safe work environment. But anyways, here we're introduced to Santa. And in the next scene, we are introduced to possibly the strangest new addition to Christmas lore that could have ever been imagined, and that is Atus.
No mistakes. We go in just as planned. It's 3 days before Christmas. My brother Santa and his miserable elves won't know what hit them.
What the hell is this? This is Santa's brother? This looks like Jafar from Aladdin. When this showed up on my screen, even after the synopsis, I was shocked. I realized I had barely a notion of what Atus would look like. I didn't think he'd be dressed in a pimp's satin robe, eyeshadow, and a black morph suit. Who made the call on that? He looks crazy. Also, his name is Santa spelled backwards, which they even directly point out for some reason later in the film.
Atus is Santa spelled backwards. He's Santa's evil brother.
The writers were feeling so smart with that one that they had to directly say it to the viewer. You know, by the way, his name is actually Santa spelled backwards. Yeah, we know! No one's ever had that name before. He's also got two weirdly dressed emo minions. They're also wearing morph suits with like sheep's wool on their shoulders and hips. I don't know what they're supposed to be. They could be another type of elf, but I also am considering the possibility that that's just their uniform. Either way, Atus explains his whole plan.
I am going to put an end to Christmas for all time, take over the North Pole, and make Mrs. Claus Mrs. Atus.
So Santa Claus is his brother's name, but he's just Atus? Wouldn't his last name also be Claus? Her last name wouldn't change because you guys are twins. Fraternal, apparently. But if you set all of these confusing aspects of Atus aside, the next one almost broke me, and we're like 7 minutes into the film.
Boss! Don't butt me, get in the box! Not the box!
Now this took me very by surprise, because I knew, okay, yeah, no, this is Santa's evil brother. But nothing about that fact would tell me that this man is a warlock with lightning powers. You tell me there's a Christmas Darth Sidious? He looks like a Sith Lord. And he's got minions in morph suits, but they still wear Converse. Because they're comfortable. So Atus's grand plan is to have them all sneak into the North Pole by putting them all in a human-sized box and mailing themselves to the North Pole. And they do just that, and the package teleports to the North Pole. And when it arrives there, one of the elves working there just sees the package and they're like, nothing suspicious here.
A gift for Santa. How nice.
So I guess the North Pole has like no sort of like mail security system. What's stopping someone from sending a bomb to Mrs. Claus? Blowing her up. Sounds like we're sending a dirty bomb to the North Pole. Also, just before Santa receives this package, because contextually this is important, we see that his hat is the source of all of his magic. He makes like a clipboard appear for pointers. That's just something you should know. He's got hat magic. He's got hat magic, baby. So Atus's package is brought in by the elves, and Santa displays like a little bit of suspicion to where the package came from.
Who brought this box, Frizzy?
I don't know. It's mighty heavy, though. Well, back to work.
So yeah, this elf did no due diligence on this package.
Something about this isn't quite right.
But it's too late now, because Atus is coming to town now.
Surprise!
You!
Me! Aren't brotherly reunions wonderful?
So Atus and his goons are here with bad intentions, and Atus is saying stuff like this.
This is a very busy time of year for us.
Oh, yes, of course. I know it's a very busy time of year for you. You were always too busy to pay any attention to me.
And then using his lightning powers to reveal possibly the most suspicious chair you could ever see. When I first saw this, I got a little worried because I was like, that looks like an electric chair. Where is this movie going right now? So clearly the vibes here are not very safe. These are unsafe vibes that Atus is displaying towards his brother. If I was Santa, I would be like, fuck that. And I would shoot him with a gun. No.
Isn't it wonderful?
What's wrong with it?
That's a great question, Santa. That's exactly the question I would ask. But then with just enough forceful language from Atus, Santa gets in the chair.
You really must sit, brother. Sit your big hips down. Sit in the chair, brother.
Check it out, I got you an ankle massager. That doesn't look very safe to me. But it was a present. Oh, well, I guess it's okay then. He just kind of does what he says. He just rolls over. It was obviously a trap. And then Atus says something even more terrifying.
Right past the moon, Alice. Have a nice trip to Pluto. See you next fall.
He's launching Santa into space. To Pluto. He's sending his only brother 3.34 billion miles away. Just kill him. Just kill him at that point. You don't need to do all of this hullabaloo where you send him to... Just murder your brother. Keep it simple. slit his throat. And honestly, I think you're a coward for not doing it. Why are we sending Santa into the vacuum of space in a kid's movie?
Oh my eyes, brother dearest!
That's horrifying. And then immediately after, Atus engages in his plan to take over the North Pole. And he does that by installing a new operating system to the computer in Santa's cyber. He's got like a skull and crossbones CD. And this is a real clip from the movie. Incredible. I think this is my favorite Christmas movie I've ever seen. So we go back to Jeremy's house and we get to see firsthand why Jeremy's parents' marriage is failing.
For goodness sake, Bob, you haven't heard a word I've said.
Oh, yes, I did.
Why don't you ever listen to me?
I listened.
Jeremy's dad, Bob, is just a terrible husband. I don't know what could be so interesting about the newspaper that's enough to ignore your wife all the time. There's a Nintendo 64. Nintendo 64, that's a different story. Give me a Nintendo 64, give me Donkey Kong 64. Respectfully, I don't have a wife when I'm playing that game. What's worse, it's 3 days until Christmas and he hasn't bought a tree yet.
I thought you were bringing home a tree.
A tree.
It's 3 days till Christmas, Bob. We still don't have a tree. Where's the tree?
Look, there's something we need to talk about. I think we might need to postpone Christmas this year.
Postpone Christmas?
Well, yeah, you know, like a leap year. We'll just sort of skip it.
That's not how a leap. I don't know if you're allowed to do that. Well, what if we pretend a day isn't real? What are you, a toddler? That's toddler logic.
Bob, is there something you're not telling me?
Seems like he's hiding a lot from her, to be honest. On top of this, Jeremy's brother, Butch, is a pretty classic mean older brother to Jeremy. He steals his stuff, calls him a shrimp, is shooting spitballs at him. He's just overall not a good brother. And he's also kind of an asshole to his dad, too.
Hey, Pop, where's the tree? In case you forgot. Again? Guess you lose more than just your hair, huh, Dad?
Damn, Bob, you're just gonna take that? You're just gonna roll over for that roast? Also,
In case you forgot. Again?
You trying to tell me that his dad has forgotten a Christmas tree multiple Christmases in a row? Either way, Jeremy is the most pure of heart boys.
As a matter of fact, I did not forget the tree. I've picked out a special one.
Cool. What's so special about it?
Speak up, Bob. We're all ears.
I bet it's a great tree, right, Dad?
He's like so kind. And based on the way the rest of his family is, I have no idea how Jeremy ended up this way. This doesn't track. He should be loaded with trauma right now. Later that night, Jeremy's sending additional letters to Santa, but he's not asking for anything. He's just kind of checking in with how Santa's doing.
Santa, I hope you have time to write me back. Please let me know if there's ever anything I can ever do for you.
And you know he's not getting any replies, so he's just got this one-sided parasocial pen pal situation with Santa going on.
Your friend, Jeremy.
Yeah, no, Jeremy's very lonely. And just after Jeremy finishes writing this email, he witnesses something incredibly magical. Catch that? That was Santa plummeting towards the moon at 4 million miles per hour and then bouncing off and then plummeting towards the earth. That's what that was. Spoiler alert. So Jeremy does his best to convince his dad that he just saw something, and his dad kind of pretends to believe him.
Oh, nice moon, Jeremy.
Not the moon, a spaceship or a...
Oh, a spaceship. Yeah, I see it.
No, you don't. It's gone now.
And then somehow in the conversation, he just switches to talking about himself.
I know you don't believe me, but I saw something. Something special.
Next time you write to Santa Claus, you tell him there's a few things I want, too.
Yeah, no, that's nice, son. Let's talk about me now. Then after this, he just ignores Jeremy when he asks him to promise to get him a Christmas tree.
Can we have a tree?
I'm working on it.
You promise?
Night sport.
He's an ass. He's an ass. So a lot of this movie surrounds the conflict of Jeremy's parents being on the brink of divorce and his dad is sleeping on the couch downstairs. But the weird thing that they do is they frame Jeremy as loving his parents to a level that is almost beyond reasonable. Like when he goes to sleep that night, he looks over at a framed photo of his parents on his nightstand. Why does he have a framed photo of his parents on his nightstand? That's almost obsessive, right? He's obsessed with his parents. And later on that night, Jeremy is woken up by Santa plummeting down from space to land in his backyard. How did nobody wake up from this but Jeremy? That was Santa re-entering the atmosphere. So Jeremy investigates and finds Santa laying on the ground. They scare each other. And then Jeremy brings Butch out with him, but Santa's disappeared. And Butch doesn't believe him, but like he also doesn't believe that anything happened.
No big red man out here. Maybe he went back to Mars.
He was here. I tell you, I saw him.
Wake someone else up next time.
Brother, there's a person-sized hole there. And Butch is like, this kid's fucking lying to me. There's like smoke coming off that mark in the ground. You don't think that anything happened at all? So back at the North Pole, Atus's henchmen have rounded up all of the elves and are keeping them in like a janitor's closet. They basically realize in order to help Santa, they have to get him his magical hat.
He left behind his magic hat. We need to find out where they sent him.
Apparently if Santa doesn't have his hat, he's just like a guy. Then Atus comes in and pretends like he caught them, even though he was the one who put them there in the first place.
Aha! A support group meeting for the vertically challenged, I presume.
Silence! And then reveals his plan to create a global telecast to announce his change of management at the North Pole. And now that Santa is gone, Atus decides to start putting some moves on Mrs. Claus. And he is possibly the creepiest that a person could be.
Noel, I'd do anything for you. In time, you'll forget him. Oh, what a woman.
And then Atus gives his manifesto on what he actually wants from the North Pole.
Number 1, you will make all the gifts for me, to suit me, to celebrate moi.
He wants all the presents to go to him? Why? You want Lego sets and dollhouses? What are you, big baby? You big baby man? Atus, you big baby man. Legos are actually pretty cool, but you big baby man? He also says that he wants to create a database of all of the worst children in the world.
I want a database list of all the wonderfully nasty little girls and boys. Forget about the good little girls and boys. Send me the dirty, rotten scoundrels. They will be my army.
That is such a bad idea. So his plan is to rule the planet utilizing an army of children with behavioral issues? How are you going to organize them? They're all misbehaving. They're not like criminal masterminds.
They will help me rule the planet. One holiday at a time.
I don't think that Atus put much thought into this at all. Next up, there's a really short scene where Jeremy checks out this baseball card that he really wants for Christmas, and then notices a globe that says FOS on it and is confused by it. The only reason that this moment happens is because it serves something later in the film. That's it, I just have to mention it. And this whole time you may be wondering, okay, well, what happened to Santa? Turns out that Santa is passed out in, I guess, a fort that Jeremy had set up in his backyard in a tent, and when he wakes up, Santa has amnesia.
Hi, I'm Jeremy. Who are you?
Who am I?
He doesn't know who he is, which is a problem because being Santa Claus and having amnesia means that you're basically just a stranger dressed as Santa who is now living in a tent in Jeremy's backyard. And so Jeremy thinks it would be a fantastic idea to introduce Santa in this state to his mom, and it goes just about as smoothly as you'd expect.
I want you to meet someone.
I don't mean to be rude, but what are you doing here?
That's the first question I would ask too.
You must be Jeremy's mother.
Hold on. Did Jeremy not give Santa any context on who he would be meeting? Poor guy's got amnesia. Either way, Jeremy's mom is clearly very uncomfortable with this man's presence, so Jeremy decides to give the best argument that he has.
I'm afraid I'm gonna have to ask you to leave.
But Mom, he's not dangerous. He's Santa Claus. Please, Mom. He doesn't even know who he is.
Which works.
Well, he does seem harmless. I suppose if he doesn't mind staying in the tent, then I can't see the harm.
And then there's this awesome moment that happens.
Thank you for your kindness. Strange. I know there's something I'm supposed to be doing right about now.
So they're showing that Santa is half remembering the fact that he had a hat that he could utilize to do the magic that he would do. But for the mom, whose only context is this is a man dressed as Santa Claus who doesn't remember who he is and is now being pitched as someone to live in her backyard and is constantly itching his nose. He kind of just looks like he's addicted to coke. He looks like a coke addict. Like, look at him. He looks actually insane. So now Jeremy calls all of his friends over to try to help Santa jog his memory back. And this results in just like a bunch of kids sitting on Santa's lap and asking for toys. And then Jeremy sits on Santa's lap and he's again asking for Santa to just make it so his parents get along.
But this year, I don't want any toys.
Oh?
I want my mom and dad to like each other again.
Oh my god.
They haven't been getting along too good lately.
What a fucking loser. His kid's such a fucking loser. His parents, he's just complaining about his parents all the time. Santa makes toys. He's not a fucking marriage counselor. He doesn't do that shit, Jeremy. But then Santa's offered some cookies and then he just remembers everything.
Yes, Santa. That's me. I am Santa Claus.
And now the kids are running around with Santa, all celebrating. And then Dad comes home and he's like fully confused. like confused about everything, including who Jeremy's friends are.
Who are all these kids?
This is the first time you've seen Jeremy's friends? What are you talking about? And the mom already seems sold on this Santa idea.
Santa? Yeah. Well, Nona, he could be some escapee, some madman from county lockup. I want him out of the yard.
He's not hurting anyone. He might have amnesia.
Why is his amnesia an excuse for her kids to be hanging out with a random guy dressed as Santa? That makes it more dangerous, doesn't it? So Jeremy's dad is rightfully freaking out. And I know we don't really like the dad, but he's technically the only one having a reasonable reaction to this situation. And I love these scenarios in Christmas movies because they always set up the people that don't believe in Santa as like these closed-minded fools. And it makes sense as a family movie because watching this type of movie as a kid, I'd be like, this idiot doesn't know Santa Claus is real. But in reality, they're kind of the least delusional person in that moment. Finally, after a lot of back and forth and also Santa airing out Bob's dirty laundry of all the things he did bad as a child.
That sled you wanted when you were 5 and didn't get? That was a tough call.
Bob lets Santa stay for a little bit longer in their garage. And then right after, reveals that he lost his job.
I got some bad news. They sent 200 of us home and told us not to come back. They call it downsizing.
They call it getting fired, dude.
Once we get Santa home, he'll help you get a new job.
Now I feel like Jeremy's just kind of making shit up and he doesn't know what Santa Claus is capable of. But no, actually, Jeremy was right. Because Bob has a heart-to-heart with Santa and ends up being inspired to start a pool cleaning business. So while all of this is happening, Atus finds out from his goons that Santa is not in fact on his way to Pluto, but rather bounced off the moon and landed in Los Angeles.
And where, pray tell, did the jolly boy wonder of Christmas cheer set his gelatinous jelly roll down? Ha!
Los Angeles.
I like how it seems like Atus reacted not to the fact that Santa isn't on his way to Pluto, but rather that he landed in Los Angeles.
Los Angeles.
Seattle would have been no problem. Chicago a breeze. Los Angeles? Bad news. So he sends his henchmen to go kidnap Santa, and they get launched to Los Angeles and are rolling around the streets of LA in a white van, eventually finding Santa by hacking into the cameras filming the movie. And their first attempt to kidnap Santa goes, like, very poorly. Most of the stuff that these guys do goes poorly, though, since they're sort of meant to be a reference to the Three Stooges, kind of, I think.
Find him now!
They basically dress up as government workers that need to check Jeremy's house, and this turns into like a Scooby-Doo scene. But they use no music and only voiceover, so it doesn't really seem like they're sneaking. It seems like they're being incredibly loud. But they failed their first attempt and Santa is safe for now. Meanwhile, Atus is trying to put some riz on Mrs. Claus again. And while she's doing this, she manages to send out an email to all of the children of the world to say that Santa's in trouble. But the email itself doesn't really make any sense. Santa is in trouble. Please be on the lookout for him. If you see him, let him know help is on the way. They don't even know where Santa is, though. Right now, telling Santa that help is on the way would be a lie. And then Mrs. Claus is very clear with Atus being like, hey dude, this is not gonna happen. And then Atus freaks out.
I love Santa.
Then you have doomed him for eternity. I will banish him to the dark side of Pluto.
He wants to send Santa to Pluto so bad. In fact, there's a specific fascination with sending Santa to Pluto that I don't quite understand.
Show me some small kindness. Only then will I consider sparing Santa from that long, cold ride through the cosmos.
Isn't this supposed to be a kid's movie? Because Atus is currently threatening Mrs. Claus with exiling her husband into the vacuum of space unless she's physically intimate with him. That doesn't seem like a PG top. That's like a horror movie. Anyways, the next night, Atus's minions do what they pretty much should have done in the first place, which is to sneak into Jeremy's home at night and kidnap Santa. It's not even really hard for them. They kind of just walk into the garage and take Santa, and that was it. And then they haul Santa to Atus's old hideout, and then very soon after, Jeremy realizes that Santa is gone. And the elves end up sending Pointer through a teleporter to get to Jeremy's room with Santa's magic hat, so that they can both together go find Santa and bring him his hat back. He doesn't tell his parents he's doing this, by the way. But in order to find Santa, they need to go to an FOS, which is why that 30-second clip existed, so Jeremy would have the knowledge to know to go to that card shop. So, okay, there's more lore here, so bear with me. The card shop owner, Earl, is part of some secret cabal called the Friends of Santa, which just seem to be people that have pledged their allegiance to Santa Claus.
Santa's been kidnapped, and we need your help in locating him.
Who would do such a thing?
Atus.
I was afraid you would say that.
So Atus is just a consistent problem. Santa has a Sith Lord twin brother, and they don't have male security. Why are we doing this? So Earl takes Jeremy and Pointer into his back room where he reveals he has a teleporter that Jeremy and Pointer can use to get to Santa.
You've been chosen. Your courage is needed. It must be somebody who believes in Santa, someone who believes in Christmas.
Why'd you say it like that?
Remember, be yourselves. And watch out, there may be a trap.
Those are two very different forms of advice to give at the same time. Why would they need that form of pep talk before going on a rescue mission?
You've got to save the hostages. But I know that if I be myself, I'm gonna be just fine.
While all this is happening, Santa is tied up in Atus's hideout, and now they're trying to get him to sign Christmas over to Atus.
Sign it and stop all this.
This is a pretty easy scenario for Santa to withstand, because all he needs to do is just say no, and it doesn't seem like that he can do anything about it.
Sign the paper, flubber boy.
Sign it.
Yeah, sign it.
Also, why were they trying to send him to Pluto if they needed him to sign this? This feels like a new plan. So back at Jeremy's house, his dad is gathering supplies to start his new pool business when his friend turns the TV on, and Atus is making the worldwide telecast that he talked about. And this is where the lore about Santa in this world gets a little bit muddy.
It is my great pleasure to inform the world that there will be no Christmas. Not this year.
And then the news station runs with that.
That just in from Santa's evil brother, identified as Atus. Preparations are taking place to comply with his demands.
So are we just all on the same page about Santa as a planet right now? What about both of the parents just not believing that Santa is real? Is this common lore in society that it is real?
The heck is going on here?
Sounds like somebody kidnapped Santa Claus.
Yeah, right. And the tooth fairy's mixing my martini as we speak.
Wait, okay. So is it like just Jeremy's dad who doesn't believe in Santa? Is this a Jeremy's dad specific thing in this world? Even his friends seemed like a little bit afraid to admit that he believed in Santa, like it was a sore topic. And then it's in this moment that Jeremy's mom notifies them that Jeremy has gone completely missing. So they get in contact with a detective and decide to check out Earl's baseball card shop. But when they get to the card shop, Earl admits that he interacted with Jeremy, but then he won't tell them where he is.
Now, you admit to talking with the boy. You admit to filling his head with these ideas.
No, sir. He's a brave lad. He's off on a quest, on a hero's journey.
Crazy thing to say to a detective looking for a missing boy. He's on a hero's journey, does not hold up in court. It makes you a prime suspect, Earl. But this leads to, by far, my favorite interaction in the film.
Where the boy has gone, you cannot follow.
What are you, the Riddler?
I don't even think that was in the script. That was a human reaction. This detective is so right. Earl's speaking in riddles, like an interrogation defense mechanism or something.
If you know something, anything about where Jeremy might be, you've got to tell us.
The last thing Jeremy said that he wanted for Christmas was to have his parents get along.
Now, okay.
Now, why would he wish for that?
Now listen, Earl, you can't just go and start bringing up your marriage problems. That's foul play. So back to Jeremy and Pointer. They're teleported to a location and have no idea where they are, but they figure it out in like the weirdest way.
Let's go this way. But what if it's the other way? I just don't know which way to go.
Sometimes you gotta go this way.
What? You also might be wrong. What? But that just seems to work because they keep going and they see Atus's goons like make a bridge disappear. But Jeremy decides he's just got to get across this bridge.
I gotta do it. I just gotta.
And even against Pointer's suggestion, someone who's probably a little bit more acquainted with Santa-based magic, Jeremy just decides if he believes in Christmas really hard, he'll make the bridge reappear.
I believe in Santa. I believe in Christmas.
Just kidding, it worked. He lived. I love how Pointer, the whole time he tried this, was like terrified. This was fully a gamble on Jeremy's part. Also, while this was happening, Jeremy's dad went out and got a Christmas tree. It's like a really weird time to be doing that. Your son is missing. And then he also asked Butch if he like sucks.
Butch, am I a wimpy dad?
Yes, you are. We're almost at the end of this insanity, I promise. So Jeremy and Pointer find the entrance to the cave. It ends up being a trap, so they're kidnapped too. But then Jeremy squirms free and free throws the magic hat right onto Santa's head. And now Santa has his powers back, and he retaliates in a shocking way. He just turned two sentient beings into a toilet and plunger. He can control matter? That was a little scary. So now Santa, Pointer, and Jeremy, they all travel back to the North Pole, and everybody's excited, except for one. What sort of reaction was that? I think this guy wanted Santa gone. But now that Santa is back, they all join together to create a plan to take down Atus. And this results in the most absurd magical firefight between Santa and Atus.
Unhand my wife, you viper!
Oh, no, you don't. Not this time. I should have wasted you when I had the chance. Get him! Get him!
Get him, Papa! Oh my!
They're basically having a gunfight in the North Pole. Santa can shoot lasers out of his hat. Atus is still a Sith Lord. It's crazy. But then they get Atus in the same evil chair he used on Santa, and Jeremy sends him far, far away because they launch Atus into space. It's still we're doing the space thing again.
Yes!
That is Atus leaving Earth's orbit. That's horrifying. Santa's not even melancholy about it either.
Bon voyage, bro!
Either way, Christmas is saved. Santa brings Jeremy home to his family, who still thinks that he's missing at this point, by the way. Everyone makes up, his parents kiss, and Jeremy is gifted a title like he's a knight by Santa, declaring him the boy who saved Christmas.
Henceforth, Jeremy shall be known as the boy who saved Christmas.
It's gonna be like a really stale title by the time he turns into a teenager, because if he told anyone that, they would think he's so weird. I'm the boy who saved... Shut up. And at the end of the movie, Jeremy gets to watch his parents go upstairs and sleep in the same bed again. Yeah. He knows that they're having sex again. And that, my friends, was The Boy Who Saved Christmas. This was probably one of the weirdest Christmas movies I've ever found. I had a blast watching it, though. I loved the actor who played Atus in particular. Obviously, he had like a really weird script to work with, but he played the part really well. And I think if more people knew about this movie, it would maybe become like a cult classic. It's that ridiculous. Thank you everyone for watching. I'm sorry I've only made like 5 videos this year. I promise that next year will be way better. And since some of you might notice I'm not in the same apartment that I used to be in, I recorded a little message before I moved. Thanks guys so much for watching this video. I'm recording this outro before the beginning of the video because I'm actively moving right now, and I wanted to give you guys an opportunity to say goodbye to this office. This has been my office for the last 4 years, making YouTube videos since I moved to LA in 2020. I don't know, it feels like a significant event to me, but I mean, you guys might not care at all. This was the office that I hit 1 million subscribers in. It's the office I hit 2 million subscribers in. I spent the last 4 years here. I'm gonna give you guys an opportunity to say goodbye. Let's all say thank you to this office for all the good times it gave us. Thank you. And since I'm moving from this office, I'm only gonna do this once just to give you guys some lore. The Barbie thing is over here. That's where I filmed the Barbie thing. All the crap that I don't want to show up in frame goes over here. That's a little trick we like to call movie magic. So if you're a fan of movie magic, then you're welcome. Hopefully we'll make some memories in the new background. But until next time, guys, I gotta start packing this, so peace.